Ascendant.com, apparently formerly known as Ascendant Infinity, is an upcoming PvPvE shooter that's dripping in 80s vibes that feels a lot like The Cycle, but way better. The gunplay itself is a little more reminiscent of Apex Legends, same with the movement, but the world and the overall setup of the game is very similar to The Cycle. 12 players are dropped onto a they call it biopunk, but more 80s themed map. The whole game is 80s themed, and you're gonna fight weird alien creatures as well as other players, but you get 3 respawns in this game. It's not quite like a normal battle royale. You got a few chances to come back with your squad, and you're not trying to extract like an extraction shooter, which is a common misconception about this game. This is nothing like Escape from Tarkov. What you're trying to do is locate objectives on the map. They are called cores, and then you take that, you try to get to a point to extract it, and then you have to defend the extraction. So there's kind of a couple unique phases here when you drop in with your squad. First, you complete an objective to actually find the bio core. Then you gotta go get the bio core, all of which the other teams are trying to get, by the way. And then once you get the bio core, you try to get to an extraction zone, defend that extraction zone, and then the bio core goes to your team. You still get to continue to play. There's 4 teams on the map, but there's 3 bio cores per match. So technically, every single team, except for one, can get a bio core, or maybe just one team's gonna get all 3. But until your team is totally eliminated, or until all the bio cores have been extracted, the match goes on. One of the best things, again, I think a lot of people are gonna compare this game to The Cycle, both in the setup, the way the world looks, and just the whole thing. But I feel very strongly that the gunplay, the movement, and the map design are all leagues better than The Cycle. I am not putting The Cycle down. I thought it was a decent game. A lot of people enjoyed it. But the gunplay here, not quite as good as Apex Legends, same thing as the movement, but very similar design. You can clamber up walls pretty easily. You can slide pretty long distances, especially downhill. Very vertical map design in general, both exterior and interior environments. Really cool, unique visual design. You got your mix right now in this early stage. We're not even in beta yet. You got snipers, you got assault rifles, you got a plasma rifle, a pistol. There are some power weapons on the map, like a grenade launcher and a gauntlet, which you can use to heal your teammates. And team tactics really do come into play here. I found that you can really do some cool things. Teams that were using that gauntlet to heal each other seem to be doing really well and running like compositions, staying together with assault rifles or holding high ground with sniper rifles. The overall map design is very, very good and allows for a variety of approaches. When I first got into this game, this is Fusion's first game, by the way. I didn't really know what to expect. But to be honest, I have a friend who's on the team, and I liked the way it looked, I liked the style, I liked everything about it, but I wasn't sure what to expect, given it's their first game. It's not in beta yet. I was invited to playtest it, and I was really surprised at how far along this game is. All the pieces are there. The gunplay is good, the movement's good, the map is really good. There's vehicles, and there's some things that we'll talk about. There's some balance changes that I'd like to see, but there's really a lot more here, and it's much further along than I thought. It basically feels ready for launch. The game has a really robust player hideout or social hub that precedes every single match. Not only is it very expansive, but it has everything. It's got your normal, your vendors, you can accept missions and objectives. And when you unlock more of these, there's a ton of missions to do already. There's a ton of customization, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but in that player hub is where you'll do your customization. That's both skins and gun modifications, which are already in the game and very in-depth as well. There's a firing range, there's parkour to practice, there's even social stuff like your emotes. You're emoting to each other. You can squad up with people you find in that social hub. There's really a ton, and it's all got that 80s theme. Again, not to knock The Cycle, but I feel like the social hub here is miles better than what The Cycle offered all around, both in the vibe and the usefulness of that actual hub. Everything really is there. It's all encompassing. And there really isn't anything that I could think of that I'm like, man, I wish this was here. They really covered it all. And something that took me by complete surprise was the level of customization in this game. I haven't seen, I was taken back to the old school Halo games here, or like the old school Call of Duty games. You know, most skins these days, you buy a skin and it looks a certain way. In the game right now, for no cost whatsoever, you can customize virtually everything, every piece of equipment that you can equip, your jacket, your weapon. You can change the color of all these different bits and pieces of it, put like a different pattern or like texture on it. It's super in-depth. I have not seen a customization editor like this in a really long time. Like, whoever crafted this on the team deserves a lot of credit. And I think this is the type of thing that a lot of players have been asking for. You know, people, when they look at a game like Halo Infinite, were unhappy with the customization and cosmetic options in Halo for a very long time. I think we'll look at this and they'll be like, this is exactly what we wanted. This is what we're talking about. You can change the color of various different pieces of the gun, not just apply, you know, one massive color change or change two parts. You can change the color of like everything. And then, like, for example, on your jacket, you can place a patch on the back, but not only can you place whatever patch that you want, and of course there's more patches and stuff to unlock, you can change the size of it. You can rotate it to a different part of the jacket, like the upper left, the upper right, make it bigger, make it smaller. I was really blown away. The whole game does have a very tongue-in-cheek 80s action film vibe, if you didn't get that yet, from the website, which is Ascendant.com, surprise, where you can sign up for the beta, which is going to begin sometime in April, by the way. And I do recommend that you sign up. If you're looking at this game and you're thinking you might be interested, sign up. I think you're going to be surprised. I played it with my streamer friend, Vic Valley. We had a great time. And we're going to get into some of the things, some of my critiques, some of the changes that I'd like to see. But the whole game, it's definitely a mature game. It is like that 80s action movie thing, like I said. The characters drop F-bombs and make crude remarks. There's even, believe it or not, and you can turn this off, you can censor it. There's nudity in this game. Your character can appear completely nude. I feel like that's something they may strip away to change the rating down the road. I don't know. Right now it's planned for launch on Steam and the Epic Game Store, so maybe they don't care if they don't plan to release on console. But I feel like if they're going to release on console, they may end up, you know, moving that back, but who knows. All right, now let's talk about some of the things that I think can be improved, and that's, you know, what these tests are for. And like I said, surprisingly, there was very little that I felt like was obvious needed to change. There was a couple things. For example, I thought the shotgun was a bit underpowered. It only holds 3 rounds per mag, the base mag at least. That's unmodified. Again, you can modify your guns as you progress and unlock different parts and modifications for it. But the range is obviously severely hampered. It's a shotgun, of course, but it just didn't feel super effective. Even at like that close to mid-range, you really got to be on top of the person. And given that you can carry 2 weapons, I didn't find too many scenarios, especially as expansive and wide open as this map can be, that shotgun really made sense to carry. I'd rather carry like an AR or a plasma rifle and a sniper, for example, and you always have a pistol with infinite ammo. But one of the cool things is, I think there's a lot of room for more guns in this game. Like, there's already a ton here, but there's clearly a direction that they can take this and add more content over time as well. You know, stuff like SMGs. There was a grenade launcher that I saw. I heard a rumor that there's a flamethrower out there, because I know there's a flamethrower drone in the PvE enemies, at least. We're going to get into the PvE stuff in a minute. But overall, again, the weapon balance, just that shotgun, was the only thing I really felt like needed to change. But there's room for growth there, too. Magnum pistols, one thing they could add for sure. And, of course, a new map. More maps over time will do the game good as well. And if they're anything like the current map, you know, then this team's clearly talented in the map design front. And who knows, maybe they'll do stuff like a night and day cycle to shake things up. There are some random events I seem to notice. I didn't quite understand them. Like we got hit by like a rocket barrage at one point. I don't know what caused that. If it was random, if it was player activated on the map. I really don't know. But that's, again, just one of the small economy changes and balance changes that I would make. The game uses a down but not out system. It is a very squad-based game. Like I said, it's trios. That's the only way to play it. Kind of similar to Apex at launch, at least. I know they have duos, but I don't enjoy Apex duos. I don't know why. I'm good with trios. That's my sweet spot. But you bleed out very fast in this, and you can finish down opponents. Thirst, as most people refer to it as. but I just felt like you bled out pretty fast. And there's times in firefights where just you'd be knocked and you'd bleed out so fast your teammate didn't even really have a chance to defend themselves and come get you. It's either you instantly have to decide, am I letting this guy bleed out, or am I just going to keep fighting and let him respawn? Thankfully, there are those 3 respawns, and you can even find extra lives on the map to bring your teammates back, which is something that's really cool. There's also an in-game shop or shops along the map, and I believe they're randomly generated where they are every single match, which is cool. And you could buy stuff like your shield heals, your med kits, ammo, weapons, all that type of stuff. But I would like to see a little bit of an expansion of that system. Maybe some, like in the game I believe it's called power. That's kind of the currency you pick up for doing different things. You find it across the map for killing the PvE enemies and so on. You can spend that currency at those shops. I would like to see the currency, maybe some power dumps, so to speak, some really big cost things, like maybe for 500 power or 750 power, you can buy one of those extra lives or whatever, or some more power weapons that you can buy in those shops for extremely high amounts. Just something so when you have those huge amounts of power, you don't really have anything like normal that you need to buy, you can just dump a ton of it in and get something sweet. We also discovered a small problem with the squad respawns, if you can call it that, but maybe they want it this way. When you respawn in a very specific, you kind of have like a team base that your team can respawn from. So like these little towers that come with a little bit of your basic. You respawn with your guns, your ammo, just basic stuff like a white shield, and you can get perks to get better levels of shields that you can respawn with. But with that said, if you find a team that's respawning, that's kind of caught in this like respawn cycle, and your team is outside that tower, you can really farm that team and pretty much wipe them off the map. That's not to say that they can't kill you as well, because you respawn fairly quick, but because you usually respawn with like a white shield, if you're a team that's out there with purple shields or even an orange shield and good weapons, because there are different weapon rarities in this game, white first, blue second, purple next, orange, and I found one red weapon the whole time. And all those weapon variants I thought were pretty cool. I found a assault rifle variant which had much higher recoil and a higher fire rate as well, so it was harder to control, so it made a true difference. And not only was it more potent, but it's actually harder to use as well, which I found really cool. But they may want to consider randomizing those respawn points or something like that, to really prevent those squads from being farmed per se, because it's gonna happen, especially with higher skilled teams. Once they have a lot of map knowledge, they could really exploit a team with less knowledge and less skill. But I don't know, again, what type of skill-based matchmaking they plan on using. There was a ranked mode not enabled in the test, but I did see it in the menu, so who knows. All right, next I want to talk about the PvE in this game. So when compared directly with this cycle, at least, I remember the PvE in the cycle being pretty tough. The enemies, some of them were very hard to kill. You really had to be careful about aggroing enemies because they were very strong. In this game, for the most part, as of right now, they aren't super strong. There are enemies and bosses which are pretty cool and unique. There was a burrower that's you're gonna see a clip of right now, which was kind of an elongated fight, and it was harder because of the ads that it generated while we were fighting, and it gave great loot. That's a big thing to me in games that are PvPvE. The PvE really needs to be worth it, to engage in, because I hate games that have PvE, which I usually prefer PvP, but when a game does include PvE and it's like not fun and not rewarding, that's usually kind of like a downer for me. Like, it just seems like tacked on there. But here, it does feel you do get some decent items and supplies from the PvE, which is cool. The monster designs are cool. It would be nice to maybe just see whether it's AI tweaks or enhancements to some of these things to make them a little more challenging or ferocious to go up against. Like the snails, the basic ones, they don't really need to be any different. They're just there to farm for resources pretty much. But again, compared to the cycle, the PvE is just a lot easier. And I don't particularly think that's bad, because for me, the focus is the PvP, and those squad-based gunfights feel a lot like Apex Legends. And for me, that was what I wanted to do anyway. The PvE was there for me almost as something to just, get resources, level up, get some better gear here and there, or in the odd moments, you've got like a giant monster running around in a big 2-3 team fight. Just add a little bit of craziness to the mix. But I still feel, like I said, that those the little bit of AI enhancements or whatever on the PvE enemies, especially the big ones, would go a long way to make it that much more, I guess, threatening and crazier in that regard. So that's it for this video, guys. Check out Ascendant, or Ascendant.com, at Ascendant.com, formerly known as Ascendant Infinity. Like I said, I think players of the cycle are going to feel really at home here, but in my opinion, it is superior and much more in my wheelhouse, coming from a background of playing games like Apex Legends, Dead Drop, games where the PvP is really the focus. So I feel, again, I think this game's got a lot of potential. There's obvious room that they can take this game and expand upon it. And I'm really excited to play more, to see other players jump in, and to see where they can take this, because they've got a great set of bones here for this game, and it's already quite far along, again, with these really deep levels of customization and modification. I think as people play the game more and unlock more and more stuff, it's going to be fun to watch the game evolve when it gets played a bit higher levels. Like I said, adding more PvE enemies over time. Like I said, I was just really pleased by it. I played it for 4 hours and I never really got bored of it, which is saying a lot these days. So subscribe to the channel if you want more previews of games like this. Join me at twitch.tv/MayorReynolds to see those previews live. Check out my other channel, Midnight Mayor, where we cover Dead Drop exclusively, and check out a word from one of our sponsors. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Mayor Reynolds out. This video is sponsored by HumbleBundle.com, one of the best gaming stores on the internet. You can get games, software, all sorts of digital tools on this website at discounts, some of which are in bundles. So, you buy, the more you buy, the less you pay, kind of thing. If you use my link down in the description, not only will you get great games at great prices, but you'll also support my channel and content in the process. So check out Humble Bundle, and thanks for sponsoring us, guys.